Okay, good evening, everybody. Today is Wednesday, March 20th, and this is the subcommittee of the RTM for senior disabled tax relief. I'm calling the meeting to order at 7:37 PM. And we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so the first order of business is to vote on the minutes from the February meeting. Do I have a motion to approve? Mark, okay, second by Dave.
Yep.
Are there any?
Take attendance, by the way, but.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so, in attendance, I'm just gonna roll it off, okay? So we have, Dave Rock. Oh, my pen doesn't work too. Mark. Oh, great.
No fails, no flags.
I think I dialed into it.
If you don't mind, you might wanna like move down because I set my computer up to.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, we're recording, just so you're aware.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, so Dave Rock here, Christine Loverzak here, Mark McDermott here, Chris Shea here, Sharon Pistilli here. Okay, we're all present. Okay, thank you, Mark, for that reminder. Okay, so regarding the February minutes, do we have a motion to approve? Mark, do we have a second? Dave? Is there any discussion on the February minutes? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous. The next order of business is, we wanted to walk through, so for the public, for the benefit of the public, there are materials that were just, that are posted. And they are the Wednesday, October 25th, 2023 minutes of the special meeting of the RTM Senior Disabled Tax Relief Subcommittee. And then also there are the minutes and the agenda. And then also there is a tax deferral program report, which is the backup to that meeting. And all of those materials are posted to the town website, and they are the same materials that we're reviewing this evening. And I'll have them posted to this meeting as backup, so that you can refer to them if you're watching this meeting later. Okay, so Mark, we were hoping that you can give us some background based on what, where things left off in October of 2023. And I know that there are issues in that the last committee that was formed did some work around the minimum age for deferral, and making comparisons of what other towns did.
Right.
And then also, but we reached a sort of impasse because the Board of Finance is indicating that they have ultimate approval on senior disabled tax relief, where in fact, in the past, this has been solely the charge of the RTM. And so I was hoping that you could walk us through these materials and give us history so that we can develop a charge for going forward.
Yeah, so basically, we surveyed 16 other towns in Connecticut to see what their minimum age for the deferral program is. We weren't looking at the credit program at all because that, I guess at this point, needs to be brought forth by the BOF, Senior and Disabled Tax Relief Committee.
Okay, and to be clear, the deferral is the taxes are deferred until the house is sold. Is that how it works?
Yeah, well, you have you should
Yeah.
rip it out, so
Yep.
whatever, no, the ordinance?
Yeah.
The ordinance, so.
I have the chart.
You
Oh, I should
Oh, it's
print
not
out the
the
ordinance too.
need the
I
ordinance.
forgot to print out the ordinance.
Get off the top of my head, but basically, our minimum age is 75 with a maximum income of $89,000.
Yep.
Yep, right, so you have that in front of you.
Yep.
Can defer up to 50% of the taxes per year. There is an interest rate set on that. And basically, payment, has to happen up, so there's a lien placed against the property, which most people don't want. And it needs to be paid at least by the time of the sale of the house. They could switch out of that program as well. But they still owe that money and it would be a lien until it was paid. And it would be accruing whatever, say 3%, whatever the interest rate is set at.
Okay.
It doesn't really affect the finances of the town. I don't know if you have Ross's, I forget how many people are in the referral, maybe there's one person or none, I don't remember. You had it last meeting? Maybe?
And they are not reapplying every year then?
Well, they have to reply every other year, but if they want to change, they would reply.
Okay.
I mean, or if they want to say defer less money, then they would come in and say, I don't want to defer 50 or 25%, I want to defer 10 or.
Okay, okay.
You know, at the end of the day, do I think that this will make a difference in the number of participants? Probably not, but we don't know unless we try. We're the only town, we're the outlier as far as the minimum age at 75. Everybody else is at 65, if they have a deferral program.
Yes.
And we also have one of the higher incomes.
Yeah,
Max income.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a question too. Does the income need to change? You know, our credit incomes are set at what they're set at for the credit program. And our credit program is a great credit program. It's very generous. But as we continue to see the numbers fall year after year, does that mean seniors are leaving the town, which is something we don't want? So, I mean, most of the pushback on this from most people is that they don't want to lean against their house. And there's an interest charge, and they feel that they're taken away from, say, their kids' inheritance. As such, when, say, they pass on and the house is left to somebody and then they have to pay off that bill. So changing the age may or may not do anything. But, you know, there's potential there that could add some people to the numbers.
At the very least, we would want to align ourselves with typical practice, and 75 is definitely.
Yeah. So you look at Bethel, they have no program. Darien, they're at 65% with a 50% tax deferral rate. Their income is at 75,400. Easton, again, their income's 85. They have an age of 65. They can defer up to 75% of their tax bill.
Greenwich can do 100%.
Greenwich can do 100%, but their income is 73. Canaan, I don't think we got their info.
70.
Let's
I mean, everybody who's got. a
sorry,
home-
70,065.
There you go.
Everybody's at 65 instead of.
Yeah, everybody's at 65.
That's the bus.
So, you know what, if we just make an age change, it doesn't affect really the bottom line for the town,
Yeah.
as they eventually get paid. So we thought that was shouldn't be a big issue, but the question is whether we will get any participation.
So can I just ask, on these towns that you found and recorded here, how many other towns are there that do the type of programs? And
Most towns in Connecticut, but we were looking at 16 towns that are similar to Fairfield.
because they're not necessarily, okay, so similar.
It's like
in size,
Size
Like
and,
West Hartford.
Or location.
similar in
Right,
size.
yeah.
But, yeah, but Easton is not as. similar.
No, but it's just an easy one for it's in the vicinity.
I kind of like Easton's pool, deferral pool. So if they ended up with too many people, they would allocate the deferral lowest to highest until the pool is allocated.
How do we have an order for that, or we haven't had that
We don't even have,
issue?
nobody's, like I said, the credit, most people are gonna, I think, what is there, one on the, I don't know how many, you don't have the notes from last meeting.
But my problem is I have it all on my computer.
Oh.
My computer is now recording WebEx, so I apologize. I can't get to it.
And it's too difficult to find on here.
Did we used to have a lot more participation, or is it not?
Historically, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Um,
And there was always the lien.
Oh, on this now, I thought you meant overall, in the program overall, yes, participation was much there.
Too much, oh,
In the entire program, but this we've never had. For this, there's no downside to it's not lost revenue for the town. Whereas the credit
Credit.
program is
It's
lost
lost
revenue to
revenue
the
since
lost revenue
2017.
to the town.
But this revenue is deferred.
This is deferred
The town doesn't get the revenue. At
until the
time,
property's sold or,
right, which could be 10 years.
Yeah.
Or
but they get the money back
eventually.
eventually
interest.
with interest.
Right,
it is putting it on their kids, essentially.
or
Or-
whoever's there,
Yeah.
Or when they sell it.
Yeah.
when they sell it, it may not be the kids.
Could be they decide to, okay,
But if they sell it, they're gonna be paying that, right? They're not.
Yeah, they have to pay it at the sale, in order to clear a title, it has to, the lien has
this
to.
is a lien, the lien has to be paid. This is a lien.
Given
So-
the credit card for the property.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is.
And but it's not like, yeah, with the credit, they get something out of it. Here, they just kind of build it up.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about this pool idea?
You could put it up by the driving range. I'm sorry.
I mean, so like if there's pushback that lowering the age from 75 to 65 might potentially give us too many people. If we put a pool on it, just until we know,
I think it makes sense. The lowest income would be addressed first.
yeah.
Mm.
And like if Easton's pool is 80,000, then ours could probably be double that.
Yeah, because there's, in the credit program, there's caps on each level. Or in the overall program, really.
Yeah,
There's
does that
only
dictate-
X amount budgeted.
By the state of Connecticut? Or is that?
No, that's-
No, that's separate.
Yeah, if you look at your budget book, you'll see where it's in there.
How is the deferral pool determined?
We would set it.
But is that, I guess, is that 80K like an arbitrary number for Easton?
For Easton, it probably just fits into their road package.
So how would,
I don't know how we'd have to ask Easton how they came up with 80.
Yeah, I'm not sure how, I didn't. Paul Easton,
no, but
No,
like,
I-
how would we kind of gauge that?
which
figure?
what level?
It's probably pegged off of some other number, like just. They probably know what they were paying, or what the size was. And they said, well, we're at 70 right now. We don't want to go above 80, so then we've got to put a ceiling on it. We'll call it a pool and then back into 80s as much as we're good for.
And did we, I'm assuming we like had been raising the income level year over year or something as
Not on that, on the credit program, it's a COLA increase every year, so.
Yeah, because 89 is high. I feel like we'd have a larger pool with that, or a larger participation. We definitely have the highest max income in the grouping here.
And that max income is a combined income, household income?
Yes.
So Easton looks like it's the only one that has.
The other ones have that. Well, that we. Yeah, there are. 2 people in the deferral program.
Yep.
Yeah. There are. 1,092 accounts. And this is for 24. For 23, there were 1,141 accounts, so we lost 51 participants for whatever reason. Here, you have minus 25 were disallowed for excess income, 10 minus 10 were excess assets.
Mhm.
Minus 59 were deceased, minus 57 were sold, minus 2 not living in the home, minus 58 was failed to refile. For a total of minus 211, there were a total of 164 new apps for minus 47.
That, so that, and that dwindles down to the approval for, was how many? That actually,
2.
yeah, wow.
There were only 2 in deferral.
Okay.
The 1,092 accounts, are those, what type of accounts?
Those are all credit.
Credit accounts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, 1,090 are credit, 2 are deferral.
Okay.
So we don't need- Try to peg it at 65 and let it ride.
Reevaluate.
Yeah.
I mean, let's say my taxes are like 16 grand, so if I were gonna defer 50%, I'm deferring 8,000 myself, so 80,000 is 10. You got 10 people like me, let's say,
Yeah,
that's,
that's not a lot.
that's,
No, but what's Easton's total grand list? We have to see what we need to do.
They're a third of us.
They might have a higher participation rate.
They have no industry.
Yeah, have no.
Right, but so we would take their
But
residential.
they have decent sized taxes. I mean, they don't have small, right? Big properties, big taxes, no.
Black farmland.
Again,
They're like, oh,
they're, I mean, talking without any background, but they have no, their tax base is just residential.
Right, and plus they have a lot of exempt farmland, like not exempt, but pay almost nothing.
So I wouldn't say we wouldn't want to compare them as a
No, comp.
little town.
It'd be like
Yes.
Westport then, I think, right? Wouldn't it be more?
West Hartford.
Portfolio? Yeah.
Like West Hartford.
Well, but what we would do is take 80,000 as a percent of the grand list and then just apply that to our grand list and then also ask them how they calculate it.
That's the comp. I think you're right. It's
It's a percentage of grand
it's a
list.
percentage of grand list, or you know what?
Well,
They might
not
know
really,
it's like that.
not really, because the grand list is, in Fairfield, there's a lot of commercial property.
Mhm.
And
That's not, that doesn't come into the pool.
Can we isolate residential though? We can, right? Versus commercial.
Well, no,
Yeah,
that's
sure.
one affects the
I'm
other.
sure you can, but the tax base is
It's not gonna be,
grand
it's
list.
not gonna be perfect. What we're trying to do is get the percentage of the weighted percentage of the piece of the pie. That should be the deferral cap, like the pool.
I think the 2 most important pieces of this are what we set as the maximum income and the minimum age, and I'm in favor of lowering the minimum age to 65 to make it consistent with the towns in the area.
Yeah, I think we,
And at maximum income, I mean, I think same thing, we should,
I feel like if it hasn't been raised lately, then I guess we could keep it, because in theory, like, if anything, it's definitely very high. I can't imagine like Fairfield hiring from them like in Keene and Darien kind of thing, like you think that maybe. I don't know if we base this on our median income or how we gauge that, but we're still,
Yeah, and
because our participation's so low, I would say we can leave it and see what, what comes back, but we can reevaluate that if we need it to lower it a little bit.
rather than making it more complicated with all these weighted, you know.
yeah, but we do want to put some kind of a cap on it, at least in, so.
It doesn't cost us any money though.
Right, but,
So,
but if we ended up with too many people,
participants.
even though we doubt we will, if the objection to it would be, how do we know we're not gonna get too many people in it? If we put a cap on it, then we're mitigating the risk.
I mean, I guess we have to step back and think about our mission. What's the reason for our existence and why does this program exist?
To try to get people into it, but there's a balance,
For what purpose?
so that they are able to stay in their homes.
Right, so that's what we're trying to do. And
Right,
I
but-
think that we should, since it's not costing us anything, we should just try and do that.
The balance is to make sure that it's at a level where we're not like impacting the overall tax base excessively. Right, there's a sweet spot in there.
Yes, I agree, but, isn't it advantageous to us to encourage empty nesters to stay in their homes? So, I mean, I think we're doing that as well. I think it's a win-win.
Because you're saying if they decide to move out and sell, then maybe what the town would get with that $8,000 in taxes, we would lose with the kids' education with their 2.5 children that move in.
Yeah, exactly.
So
2020, their real estate grand list was 1,197,527,50.
Sounded like a lot.
Well, it's 1.2 billion.
Okay,
It's 1.3 billion with motor vehicles and personal property, but real estate is 1.2.
this was Easton.
This is Easton in 2020.
okay.
Trying to see if they have another updated figure. Assessor grand list figures posted 6/30/21. That's the last one I see here.
So 80,000 over that is really not,
It's nothing,
it's zero.
it doesn't even come up,
It's
but
not even a decimal place.
it's less than 1%, less than 1%.
Seems a little stingy on their end, actually. Right?
Hey, Easton.
Well, you have to look at what their other programs are paying. Let's see what they say here. Is that their other program?
Maybe they have a very good credit program or something along those lines too.
Right.
Oh, my iPhone doesn't have enough zeros.
They have a tax abatement, an optional tax available shall be allowed.
Right,
Oh. I mean, if you want to find out more about that, then you should call the tax assessor in Easton and I don't know if they're, let's see if I can find their
I can look that up.
senior tax relief.
Okay, so the task list out of here is. It sounds like we're all in, this is not a voting item, right? This is really like a discussion meeting because we don't have any voting items for us, okay? But it sounds like we're all in favor of, we'd all be in favor of lowering the age to 65. And potentially go with no pool. Until we find out from Easton, just out of curiosity, what the logic and formula is behind the pool that they said.
Would we want to see or explore other town, like different, like they seem to be the only one that has a pool. Is
They
that
are,
right?
yeah.
And I know, Chris, you mentioned that like maybe West Hartford might be more comparable, or even Westport maybe.
Well, as far as the tax base, my concern with Easton is it's not
Yeah.
fair to compare them to us because they don't have any. I mean, the cost of running their government is a lot less and
I
the
hear you.
taxes that they require to do that are a lot less.
Their QTAV is the same, 650.
They're what? I'm sorry?
Their QTAV is 650 as
Oh,
well.
okay.
So, yeah, for discussion purposes and for your notes and my notes,
Your notes are a lot neater than mine.
no, I wouldn't, don't say that, you haven't seen mine yet. So we seem to be kind of in agreement to perhaps recommend that the minimum age be 65, which seems to be what the other towns that we've looked into have. So we would say we lower the minimum age from 75 to 65.
Yep.
And then, as far as just for the deferral, it looks like we say up to 50% of the gross taxes could be deferred. And, when we say gross taxes, is that real estate or is that also motor vehicle?
For ours,
Yeah. It doesn't say here, it just says on their property, and that could be.
Yeah, it's just-
Vehicle too,
I think it's just on the
real estate.
real estate tax.
Okay,
So,
which would make sense because you don't really put a lien on a car.
Mhm.
I mean, you could, but yeah, wouldn't make sense, it'd be a little funny. So it would be on their real estate. And, and we would stick with a 50% deferral that we have now. Just kind of talking this through, because Easton has up to 75%. After other tax relief benefits. and
So they're, after they qualify for the tax advantage.
And,
Oh, this is interesting. Westport, they have income deferral for tax increase. Deferral covers tax increases only.
Like when you're a little bit higher in that bracket.
Yep.
that would affect our town.
Yeah.
Grand list. So I don't know that we would.
They have a combination you can do in Westport.
So you would just defer the increases? Or it's,
Defer, I think, and the credit, it's more involved than what's on this. I mean, this is just strictly looking at deferral.
yeah. And did you guys go through and do an analysis of the credit programs too, or no?
Years ago.
Okay, so it seems like the thing.
This is just from the last group. I mean,
Yeah, okay. So it,
yeah,
so it seems like what would make sense is for the deferral program, we're good with what we're all in agreement on lowering the age. We can benchmark the deferral percentage, but I think given the fact that some towns don't have any deferral at all and some have up to 75, 50% sort of seems in the middle of that. Because you have some with none and some with very generous. So I personally would be okay with leaving it at 50.
I would too, based on this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
then,
up to, so
Yeah.
and then I think what we should do is benchmark the credit program. We can use this in town to take a look if we want to expand this any. And I think that we should. The other thing, when we do the benchmarking analysis on the credit, we can take a look at the median. I think there's information that we could pull that would have like the demographics and the median income and the median home price, which might help just provide some color.
Especially how things changed a little bit in the last few years.
Yeah. So I think what I could do is create a template for the items that we would want to pull for benchmarking, and then with that stuff, with that information like be on the town websites, we have to call them up.
It's on the town websites, but calls were made to the assessor's office of each town.
Okay, so if I made a template and we put the towns going down and then just took a look at the websites to see what information's available. If there was stuff where we had to call to find out more information, could we divide it up and everybody takes 3 or something?
Sure.
And it
And
might
then-
even be easier just to like go right to that too, rather than like sit through the web, you know, depending on how easy to navigate different sites are. Maybe just connecting and getting our kind of 5 things that we're looking for might be easier
Yeah,
verbally.
yeah, so we create a template and then spreadsheet. My favorite
Just-
thing.
and usually one of the-
So, all right, so we'll create a template and then we'll agree on the questions that we want to ask. And then we could probably agree on the questions we want to ask tonight, right, Mark?
Yep.
And then we can divide up the towns.
Maybe, Ridgefield might be a good town to add to this.
I thought.
Oh,
They're on here?
great minds.
Oh. I don't know why I didn't see that. It's already on there.
I'm sorry.
It's here. So, there's West Hartford again.
And, yeah, so as far as the questions we're gonna ask, so I think we kind of already know 65% is, 65 years is the average. And then,
Well, but this is deferral, right? So
So
we
you-
want to look at we're gonna gather the same information for credit, but that's the good point. We need age, right? And
and,
income,
and I think, yeah, I think we need income. definitely.
and then assets. Rate Q,
It's really old information. It's probably going back to 2019, maybe. But Jill did this for all these towns,
For credit,
for what program they had,
yeah, so we can get her information and just update it.
yeah, it's.
and at bare minimum, she'll have already done that legwork on the phone numbers for the, and you know.
Yeah.
Again,
So, in terms of this being new business and us not having a meeting, can we gather that information and then agree on which towns we're gonna take? And then I can post the file that I get from Jill as backup?
see if I can find it.
To this meeting, you know what I mean, so that everything is up to date.
I mean, we did all this work years ago, and we're looking to change the credit program and sat in front of the Board of Finance for 2 hours. And that's when they decided we're taking over.
So how do we remedy, can you give us the
And
background?
then
of
got
that?
their own subcommittee.
Which is Craig, right?
Well, it was Chris DeWitt, Craig and Curly and Sheila Marmion.
Which means for now it's Craig.
For now, it's Craig. And John Matola and I don't know who the third is.
Okay.
So should we reach out to them and make sure that what we're doing isn't wasting time or?
Well, I think the information gathering, at least the information gathering is probably not a waste of time. I do think that we have to establish the process because in the last couple of years is the first time the Board of Finance has ever taken the position that they would lead on it as opposed to the RTM leading. Correct?
Yeah, I mean, past practice was, I mean,
It's up
they
to
would
the
give it,
RTM.
the Board of Finance would give the blessing and that would go forward.
So should we request a blessing from them?
We don't quite know what the rationale was for that change.
Right, correct. So I think we have to find out what the rationale was for the change
Yeah, I mean, I don't want
and
to.
clarify what the process is.
Yeah, and not to step on anybody's toes, but also to just understand what our charge is and not do something that either isn't needed or isn't desired or,
I mean, we could do joint board.
what's that?
We could do a joint board, is that possible?
Yeah, it's just a question of governance, right? And how the government is supposed to operate, and if the RTM is supposed to have oversight, then the RTM should have oversight.
Right. And I guess the question is, are there two separate entities kind of,
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I agree with that
Yeah.
idea, having a joint meeting, but I think,
no, I think we should have our separate,
One.
committees and checks and balances and all that, but I just think we need to kind of be in concert with,
yeah,
the other entity, so that we're not.
there are other places we could be on Wednesday nights. We want to make sure we're spending our time. on.
So the Board of Finance has
Yeah,
a,
if they're gonna take over and they're gonna do everything, we should just dissolve them, go away.
Well,
We're not doing that.
it's in our rules, we're set a senior disabled tax relief committee every January for the new term.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, you could be just a lame duck and do nothing, or,
I was just gonna say, yeah, so then clarify what our role is,
Yeah.
what our desired role is.
Yeah.
It had been different a few years back.
Okay, cool. So let's,
yeah, we've amended language in the past. But we have not, I guess it was in 2015. So it was in 2017 when it was presented, we made a presentation to change QTAV from like 650 to 682 or something. And it never got out of LNA.
oh,
And then 2000, I want to say 19, I guess it was, we made a presentation to change the credit program, income levels and the different levels,
like make tiers.
yeah, the different tiers. And that's when it just all changed.
So, okay. All right, so in terms of a go forward task list. What we'll do is I'll get that back, I'll get that 2019 file from Jill that has the information on the credit programs. And then, if you guys are cool with it, I'll just set up, it will use the template the way she had it set up. And then just divide the number of towns by 5. And then we can all just take,
On the spreadsheet.
yeah, depending on how many there are. Won't make too many, won't make it too many.
No, it's gonna be 1 or 2, divided by 5.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could end up at 4, maybe.
Maybe. Should be easy.
And then come prepared to the next meeting with that information, and then in the meanwhile, also I will. We need to start having conversations about. What the governance process is here.
This is separate, but I vaguely remember someone mentioning something, back in maybe December. Do we have veterans included in this committee? Was it you? Should ask about it or?
I did have a conversation with someone about that. And right now, there isn't like a separate veterans
Okay,
program, is my understanding. Right, it's veterans that qualify. Is my understanding correct?
Yeah, they have their own program for veterans.
But
State,
it's at the state level.
yeah, state.
I think the town, but I wanna say, I think I saw on the town site, they do have, like, it's the same as the state, but it's like, so nothing with our funding is involved with that then? Is that?
Well, so the state tax relief program isn't funded, so we actually fund it.
Gotcha,
The
okay,
fund pays it.
yeah, I think, okay,
But it's set by the state.
Yeah, but they don't fund it.
Right.
We have to fund it.
But I did take a look at that and there aren't, the participation was pretty low on
is
it.
that, cause we have a very, I think, feel like a strong veterans appreciation and recognition in our town.
We do,
Yeah.
but there are certain like disability codes and they get so much for like, I think it's tiered and they get so much based on what their disability code is or something
Okay.
like that. So I did mention to Ross that we would want the list of, because there is information on how many veterans we have in town and what the disability tiers are, and I think that's all public information,
Okay,
so that we could look at.
so they have to have a disability rating, they can't just be a veteran to qualify for a tax credit or tax relief. Okay,
Still have on the list that we were gonna find out the logic for Easton's pool size, but that we're gonna kill that for now, right?
It depends, I mean, like, if you guys would have an appetite for it, then we can find out more, but if you guys aren't gonna have an appetite for it, and I'm gonna get voted down.
I mean, I can try and find out. Just as a,
'cause I mean, like, I guess to be more kind of proactive with protecting any potential hit to the town, I guess we could always have a pool in place, and then we can always modify it if we have a high participation level and we see that they need to reevaluate, but I guess maybe it would just protect us from like that any one year where we have a high quota. And like Chris said, the goal is to keep people and, we want people to participate.
Right,
I don't think any of us foresee that kind of spiking too high, but I guess we could have it in place and modify it annually if we needed to or something.
I'll call Easton, I'll see what I can find
I
out.
feel like it is interesting that they're the only ones that have a cap out of 16 towns,
yeah, I'm just curious to know why,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll see what I can find out.
and from a risk management standpoint, I kinda like it, but that's sort of my style.
You don't know what their participation level is
No, and that's,
and whatever programs they have. Yeah. Maybe they don't have, well, if they only have deferral, right? Bethel has no deferral program, right? Because maybe they only have a deferral program, maybe they don't have a robust
credit.
credit program,
Yeah.
or maybe they just have a credit program and the deferrals and add-on.
I mean, their deferral pool may be very low because the
Like ours.
tax base is very low. They don't have the resources to defer that revenue.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
okay,
But I guess just to circle back, I wanted to clarify with the questions we're asking for the credit when we call. Any additional questions we don't need to we don't also want to find out anything about veterans assistance with the credit.
I think it's a great
Like
idea
if we're on the phone with them.
to add that on.
But if we have a separate group that works with the veterans in our, like in town?
So we would
That we
be
don't.
expanding the
Yeah, I guess,
role of this committee, and I don't know that
Okay, that's in
I
our,
mean, this is for seniors and disabled,
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but,
for vets,
but if you're disabled, but if you're a disabled
then
veteran,
you're
that
already
is a,
disabled.
that is a
So
form of
it's a
disability.
I
disability,
know,
yeah.
They would already qualify.
So we could, they would qualify, but we have the potential to create another tier
So,
for disabled
be-
veterans if we wanted to.
Because, because the state of Connecticut has like for property relief for homeowners, they have relief for veterans as like seniors, disabled and veterans. So I just noticed that's the one bracket that's left out of our committee. So I don't know if it's something that, like, it's a mandatory anyway, and I'm sure the town has something like, but again, it seems to fall more under disabled and it doesn't necessarily, the state of Connecticut, it doesn't seem to. I'm not sure if I'm misinterpreting that, but that was my understanding. It was just like with an active combat role with
Oh.
a certain group, like that they have. So that, it's a different discussion than what we're talking about right now, but if we're going to be connecting with the towns for this information, maybe we could also just collect that while we're on the
Yeah.
phone
I think we should.
and kind of reevaluate it as we need to, but it looks like the town offers, or the state of Connecticut seems to have something for veterans without a disability, maybe unless I'm misinterpreting that. So for relief for homeowners.
Okay. So but is that
Is that based on?
based on property taxes, for property taxes?
Let's see, homeowners who are
Oh, yeah.
veterans
Yeah.
qualify for property tax relief based on length and nature of their service.
Oh,
So nothing to do with, let's see, and certain disabilities that they sustained. So, but I didn't see that there was like a required disability rating for that qualification.
okay.
But
So why don't we have, why don't we invite Ross to our next meeting? We could leave the questions about veterans open-ended.
Mhm.
And then just say, what do you do for veterans above and beyond what the state program is, right?
Because yeah, I don't want to overstep our reach by any stretch. But-
I don't, I think you guys can chime in, but based on my preliminary understanding is that the credits that they receive are based on a disability rating.
Okay.
And therefore it would still fall under
Under our group.
this review.
Although Christina's saying that in that state program, there's no.
Yeah,
disability, requirement. It's for vets.
Yeah, and I mean, I think We
There are
can-
Tiers for disability.
we can gather the information. And then whether or not it's under our purview to actually do anything about it, we can determine that later. And I don't know that it hurts to actually gather the info.
yeah, if we're gonna be on the phone and then we can go
Yeah,
put it in whichever grouping it
Yeah.
belongs.
my dad was a field medic with a Marine unit in Vietnam, so I'm very pro the veteran.
Me
friend.
too. My dad was a lieutenant colonel in the army, so
Okay.
I'm big pro.
Yeah, I'm pro veterans benefits.
I mean, they are amazing and, I just want to make sure that we're not overstepping our,
I don't mind if we color outside the lines just a little for veterans.
okay.
Don't put that in the notes.
No,
Shh. Just kidding, recording. Okay. No, but I think if we gather the information, then we could find out more about whether or not that would be included in the charge or, how we could amend the charge in order to,
Okay, and so just to kind of regroup a little bit for my notes, and for your grid,
yeah,
questionnaire grid. So we have deferral program, we have credit program, and then we have some other maybe open-ended questions about participation with vets.
yeah, just an overview.
Towns.
And then,
And
and then I think what we could do is if we gather this information, perhaps we can invite Ross to the next meeting and ask him to explain what's done for veterans.
Okay, great.
And then ask him to provide us with the data on that also. What do you guys think about that?
Solid.
I think you should just reach out to him. And find out what. You know, give him a call.
Yeah.
I don't think we. Yeah, I think sometimes he has a hard time coming to these meetings, so.
Okay. Well, so if I get all the information, maybe I can ask him the question and then ask him to send us an email and then we can put it in the backup of the meeting.
Yeah, you just,
How about that?
yeah, I would just ask him.
Okay.
That makes sense. And then we'll have that data. for
And
your-
if we ever needed to talk to him, like, could we schedule a special meeting during the day and put it on WebEx and record it? And then we get to talk to him during the day during his office hours?
I don't know what his schedule is during the day, but
Oh, well, then he doesn't have to come to a night meeting, if, you know, if it comes to that. I don't know, it's just an idea.
Like, there'd be no harm in asking if needed or cross that bridge.
Yeah,
But I like
would-
the idea of the email.
I would just, you know, it's easier probably to call him and find out or email him or whatever you want to do.
okay,
And ask him what are the veterans, what are the veterans programs before we go down that path?
Yeah,
It's,
I agree. And, yeah, I think an email might be best, because that way, you know, you've got something that you can share with us. rather
Yeah,
than
I can-
If you
I'll
talk to him on the phone, it's,
I can
Yeah.
keep us all on copy and then put it in the meeting backup for next meeting.
so I'm gonna change, we're not gonna invite him to our next.
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah. Sure,
Sharon's gonna reach out to him.
yep. Okay. So Mark, is there anything else to share with us, like based on historical stuff?
if you're a veteran, you may be eligible for a property tax exemption for more information. So, it says call the tax assessor's office, so
Yeah,
it's a separate program.
So, yeah, so there is a separate program in town for vets.
So I'm not sure,
so it is kind of a gray area if it actually
I'm
falls.
not sure you lump it into here.
Yeah,
Because the whole, you know, there's a whole page here on veterans affairs and such. I mean, trust me, I get it. Dad was an Air Force veteran, but. Yeah, I'm not sure. Fairfield liaison's Julie DeMarco, actually.
oh,
Yeah, the only reason I kind of bring it up, and I remember it coming up in a meeting a few months back, but just the state of Connecticut with their mandatory property tax relief for homeowners, they bucket, they have seniors, disabled, and veterans are the three categories, and it's apparent we are two of those three. So checking if that's a completely separate entity and, you know, different governance, that's fantastic, but just want to make sure it is separate.
no, that's a really good question. Okay,
The other issue was, that we were looking at was the appeals process. Who and how that should be worked on. So right now, you basically go to Ross, who's running the program, and he says yea or nay. And we're not sure that was, you know, you're going to the guy that's running the program, right? You should be appealing to somebody else.
objective, yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun.
We did vote, we ended up saying maybe it should be the BOS. I thought it should be the, Board of Assessment Appeals.
That's what I was thinking with BAA.
Ross said, well, that's not within their pure purview, but we could change what's in their purview. I mean, they do meet, you know. So I like the position. But you're going to the guy that's running the program, it's not, doesn't seem,
I agree.
never seemed to me, okay, I'm fine with the BOS too, but. You know, isn't that what the Board of Assessment Appeals, I mean, you're appealing something. It's in the
with
name.
your taxes.
Yeah, it's with your taxes.
Seems to be the best place for it.
To me, it did,
Board of
but-
Selectmen don't really have
No.
the information to be able to make a call on
Yeah,
that.
yeah. To me, something may have to change to do that, but,
A great call, Ron, yeah.
so he wasn't for that, Ross.
We'll keep it the way it is.
Or we ended up voting. I begrudgingly voted okay for the BOS because it was at least something, but
I mean, I agree with the AA, but could that require a charter change?
I don't know. Or you'd put it under the BOS, would that require a charter change?
Well, either one would,
I don't know. It's maybe to the town attorney or something.
yeah.
Or the town attorney, yeah, it's,
I mean, it's kind of an administrative change, but I think it definitely makes sense that if you're gonna appeal something, you should have a impartial,
partial. Judge or
I mean,
group
you
or,
don't want to appeal to the
Committee.
person that
I'll
denies.
send them to Judge Judy.
yeah, you're going to the guy that denied you for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Okay.
So how, I mean, how do we move that along? What would you suggest? We make a recommendation?
I can ask the town attorney if what we'd have to do in order to make that happen.
He may have some ideas on which be as well, but he may say, oh, no, it should be the Board of System Appeals too, but it just should be the guy that's running the program.
Mhm.
You know, he's reviewed the information, he said no,
He made a decision, so he's already made a
he's
decision.
made a decision, so I go to the next,
That makes no sense.
whatever the court is,
So,
You're back in the same.
the Court of Appeals is.
Okay.
So we're you're gonna check with the town attorney on
But these are the only two things we really,
Okay.
because I think right now we feel like we have no control over the credit program.
Right.
So if our mission is to try to fix the decline in participation, how can we do that? And, you know, I'm not sure that changing the deferral age is gonna drive it up dramatically. Participation up dramatically.
No, it's not going to, but
maybe a credit program, like, you know, maybe for the, like.
I mean-
Off of the credit instead of deferral. It makes.
Well, they would, because they're not paying any,
Yeah,
there's no lien on your house and you're not paying it. And
it's kind of a last resort.
and your
for the
kids are
deferral.
getting, you know. Everything was always about, well, I don't wanna lay that burden on my kids.
Mhm.
that. I mean, I think the minimum age may make a difference. I mean, 75 is high
It's high.
and 65, that could really, I think it really could help. It's hard to know until you.
It's hard to know until you do it. I mean, there's no reason we shouldn't try, right?
Yeah,
That's, I think, been our point on it all along. We should
Yeah.
try at least. It may do something, it may do nothing.
May have to leave the meeting, I have a stranded chop,
oh,
unless we're close to wrapping. Just think.
I think we have enough to do items. Do you guys have anything else?
I don't wanna put a
No?
stop on
I
it,
don't think you are. I think,
or maybe it's a
I
good.
mean, those are really the two things that, you know, that the last committee ended with.
Okay. All right, so we have a charge.
Yeah.
Public, when you're watching this, we will post.
Yeah, I mean, you can obviously,
Or
you know,
two items
look
to the
at
back
the
up.
ordinance and see what else is in there that you
Yeah.
think
I meant to print the ordinance out.
needs,
too, and I-
needs to be changed. or
That was
see
one thing I
anything
forgot to
in there. You know, those other changes that Ross wanted will come before us, but, and, I mean, how did it go the other night?
The LNA, they were okay with the changes except for the 12/31 date of being the stake in the ground date for assets. Because when someone comes to apply in the last 2 or 3 months, they could have had something catastrophic happen that could change their position. And so therefore 12/31 might be too long in the past.
Okay.
So they want to have a special meeting with Ross to understand that.
I thought that's also one of the perfect sense.
Well, it makes sense because it like,
Based.
it aligns with your tax returns, it aligns with your statements,
It
but
would make it harder to prove the financial change.
except that, I mean, if you have a brokerage account, you can go in there any day and just print out what your assets are.
A lot of people don't have brokerage accounts. And we're not really, I mean, this is all on faith, we're saying if they
Yeah,
take
exactly.
something.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean, it's all based on
With the value of your house. And
12/31.
what little,
No,
That's 31.
there's no value of your house.
It's sure.
It's QTAV is the QTAV portion of it.
that's your other asset.
It's all other assets.
Right.
Your house has nothing to do with this.
Yeah, okay, that's not.
Your house has
included in
nothing to do with the
that. It's not
insurance.
included in
It's
that.
not included in QTAV,
Okay,
your home,
so what then, so then the only other.
your primary home residence.
Yeah, your.
Now, if you have a place in Florida,
Yep, that would count.
that counts.
Okay, got it.
But, you know,
You can go.
the income part is based on your income for the year prior year, so it's 12/31 is the,
Makes total sense.
is the
I gotta
day.
go get my kid.
Oh, got it. Okay,
We won't be here then.
no, it's okay. All right. So the other thing I'll do for next time too is print out the ordinance. I meant to do that and I failed to.
Let's make sure it's the most up to date one.
Yeah, exactly. But I did want to, I'll take a look at the charter. I wanted to take a look at the charter too about the BOF versus RTM.
Did several people have an issue with the 12/31 date or?
I feel like that would make sense for the masses. I think it would be like the exception that we want to, that they submit.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
No way, change of circumstance in that, what, 45-day window or something.
Again, if there's a change in circumstances, they just say that and we take them on their word.
Yeah, okay.
That's what we
Yeah,
do.
they're signing an affidavit.
Yeah,
They're signing it, yeah, they're signing an affidavit. I thought that
maybe
administratively it made sense, but they wanted to ask Ross more questions and it was more than I could answer, so they're asking for him.
Okay.
So then he should come to, no, it's not out of LNA yet, right?
It's not out of LNA yet,
So
But I think-
that's a problem
but I think they're having a special meeting like next week.
to talk about this.
This,
We
yeah.
asking Ross to come to it or
Yeah.
be on the call or whatever they
Yeah.
can do.
Are they having you attend the meeting as the chair of this so
Maybe,
that you can speak? So,
maybe,
so that you can speak, about what we talked about here with the reason. for the
I did do that in the LNA meeting.
BOF approved it already.
Yeah, and I mentioned that also.
That's, isn't that the date for like life? Finance,
I know, right?
12/31 is like, that's it. You start. fresh
Start
for next
over
year,
again.
That's when the clock
That's
stops.
when we have our New Year's resolutions.
right? So
Yep. Okay, so
I don't,
motion to adjourn. Mark,
Mark, and second,
I'll second it.
Steve.
all right, great.
All
All in favor, 8:41.
41.
Okay, all right, thank you.